You clicked on this video to discover the truth about America's most haunted house. And the real story is even stranger than the legends. Welcome to the Myrtles Plantation, where history, tragedy, and the unexplained collide. Picture this. It's 1796 and General David Bradford is running for his life from President George Washington himself. His crime? Leading the Whiskey Rebellion in Pennsylvania. When Washington sent 13,000 troops to crush the uprising, Bradford fled 1,500 miles south to Spanish West Florida, now Louisiana. On 600 acres near St. Francisville, Bradford built his sanctuary called Laurel Grove. This grand Creole cottage would become one of America's most infamous properties. He lived there alone for years until President John Adams pardoned him in 1799. But his plantation, built on fear and exile, would collect far darker stories. Some say the land itself was cursed, allegedly constructed over Native American burial grounds, though historians dispute this claim. What's undeniable is the pattern of death that followed. Bradford died in 1808, but his legacy was just beginning. His daughter, Sarah Matilda, married his law student, 35-year-old Clark Woodruff, when she was only 14. Different times, folks, deeply uncomfortable times. The tragedy that followed would cement this place in paranormal history forever. The Myrtles today is breathtaking. 22 rooms across 2 floors of pure antebellum grandeur. The entrance hall features a 300-pound Baccarat crystal chandelier imported from a French castle. Mary Catherine Cobb Sterling bought this masterpiece in the 1850s when she and her husband Ruffin nearly doubled the house's size. Original wood floors, hand-painted stained glass with French cross patterns, marble fireplaces, ceiling decorations made from clay, Spanish moss, and animal hair. The white clapboard exterior sits atop a hill, wrapped by a 125-foot veranda with ornate cast-iron railings. Live oak trees draped in Spanish moss lead to the house. Crepe myrtle trees bloom in explosions of pink and purple, inspiring the plantation's name change from Laurel Grove to the Myrtles in the 1850s. There's a pond with a small island featuring a gazebo connected by a bridge. The general store, where Bradford lived during construction, now serves as a gift shop. Yes, you can actually stay here overnight in one of the guest rooms. But would you want to? The Woodruffs owned 32 enslaved people who worked 650 acres of cotton and indigo. They hosted elaborate parties and lived in luxury. But all this beauty couldn't protect the people inside from what was coming. Some say the house remembers everything, every conversation, every scream, every last breath. Now the story that made the Myrtles famous. The tale of Chloe. I'm going to tell you the legend, then the truth. According to legend, Chloe was an enslaved woman who worked in the Woodruff house and was allegedly Clark Woodruff's mistress. She had a dangerous habit of eavesdropping. One day she got caught. Her punishment was brutal. They cut off one of her ears. From that day forward, Chloe wore a green turban to hide her mutilation. Fear consumed her. She was certain she'd be sent to the cotton fields or sold, so she hatched a desperate plan. Chloe gathered oleander leaves and boiled them down. Oleander is incredibly poisonous. She mixed this into birthday cake batter. Some say she intended just enough sickness to nurse the family back to health, proving her worth. Others believe it was revenge. Either way, the plan went catastrophically wrong. Within hours of eating the cake, Sarah Woodruff and 2 daughters were dead. When Chloe confessed, an angry mob dragged her to a tree and hanged her. To this day, visitors report seeing a woman in a green turban. She appears in photographs. In one famous photo captured by the current owner, a figure matching Chloe's description appears so clearly it's been analyzed by paranormal experts worldwide. People report hair being pulled, clothes tugged. Her story became the centerpiece of the Myrtles' reputation. There's just one problem. None of it is true. Here's what actually happened. There's zero documentation of anyone named Chloe ever being owned by the Woodruffs. Census records show they owned 5 enslaved people in 1820 and 32 by 1830, but no Chloe appears anywhere. Sarah Matilda Woodruff did die young around 1823, but from yellow fever. This viral disease spread by mosquitoes killed tens of thousands every year in Louisiana. 2 of her children, James and Cornelia, also died from yellow fever, not poison. And Mary Octavia, supposedly killed in the legend, she survived well into adulthood. So why does everyone believe the Chloe story? Because it's dramatic. It sells ghost tours and fills hotel rooms. The Myrtles has been marketed as haunted since photographer Clarence John Laughlin's 1948 book, Ghosts Along the Mississippi. By the 1980s, the National Enquirer crowned it America's most haunted house. But scholars like Tia Miles point out that stories like Chloe's perpetuate harmful stereotypes about enslaved black women. Real enslaved women at the Myrtles endured unimaginable horrors. They lived in constant fear, were separated from families, and worked to exhaustion. Their real stories deserve to be told without the Hollywood treatment. The truth is uncomfortable, and sometimes the truth is scarier than the legend. Now, the only murder at the Myrtles that actually happened. This one is documented, real, and remains unsolved. January 1871, William Drew Winter was a lawyer who married Sarah Sterling and managed the Myrtles. Winter and Sarah had 6 children together, though one, 3-year-old Kate, had died from typhoid fever years earlier. This was Reconstruction-era South. The Ku Klux Klan was rising. A controversial governor's race was happening, with the possibility of an African-American governor taking office. Tensions were explosive. That fateful night, someone appeared on the front porch. Winter answered. Without warning, the stranger shot him and vanished into the darkness. Winter, bleeding and dying, staggered back inside. He wasn't going to die alone. He dragged himself toward the grand staircase, blood trailing, vision fading. He climbed 17 steps. On that 17th step, he collapsed into Sarah's arms and died. 5 men were arrested, none convicted. Paranormal researcher David Young believes Winter was murdered by the Ku Klux Klan. The main suspect was a known Klan member, but never charged. It was a racially motivated execution during one of the South's most violent periods. To this day, guests report hearing footsteps on that staircase. Slow, labored footsteps climbing up, then stopping at the 17th step. Visitors feel overwhelming sadness. Some see a shadowy figure collapsed on the steps. William Drew Winter's death is the only verified murder in 228 years. Not 10 murders like tour guides claim, 1. But that murder echoes through time in chilling ways.